awakening, rules, and living freely.
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting conversation record. It discusses awakening, rules, and how to live more freely and comfortably. Sometimes, maybe you feel like there's something stuck inside your heart, like you always at odds with yourself. In the material, there's a term that I think describes this very well. It's called being incompatible with yourself. This entry point is quite fascinating. The material believes that this kind of inner blockage often comes from our own actions, what the material calls karma, being out of alignment with the results our hearts truly want. Simply put, if the cause of what you do and the outcome you want for a good life are in opposite directions, then pain and discomfort are hard to avoid. This is said quite directly. So this time, let's try to dig out some key insights from this conversation record to see how we can live a smoother and more comfortable life. Alright, let's get started. The material starts by pointing out that if we do some not so good things, so-called bad karma, even if our hearts firmly desire good results, these two things just cannot coexist. It's like you say, I want to be healthy, but I just can't resist eating fried chicken and bubble tea. Yes, that temptation is hard to resist, and naturally, the body protests. This is a state of not accepting yourself. This highlights a very practical situation. Our inner struggles often come without reason. They are caused by incompatibility between our behaviors and the outcomes our hearts desire. A direct consequence is that stuck, blocked feeling. The material thinks this is often something we create ourselves, like trying to run the latest software on an old operating system. Of course, it won't run smoothly. This metaphor is quite vivid. The material suggests that repentance can be a starting point for adjustment, but just knowing that is not enough. How do we break out of this cycle? The material mentions a term called relying on the body-mind, which sounds like more than just making a vow, right? Yes, the key is in the word rely. It means to act according to the enlightened, clear understanding you have gained, like relying on a brave general, so that you have the strength to defeat the bad habits and impulses that cause suffering, the so-called evil enemies. The material even directly says those vexations and habitual tendencies are actually nothing at all. It's our own choice to listen to and follow them that gives them power. True power actually comes from deciding at the moment that something is wrong, and choosing not to do it immediately. Not postponing it with I'll do it tomorrow attitude. But to know what is the right choice, you need a standard. This connects to another very interesting core concept in the material, rules. It uses typing and driving as metaphors. If you randomly hit keys without following the keyboard rules, of course, you can type out the words you want. If you drive without watching the road or following traffic rules, the result will likely be accidents. What the material wants to say is, whether it's Buddhist Dharma or the laws of the universe, it's essentially a set of rules. If you can fully understand them, and then act according to these rules, relying on the rules, life will naturally run more smoothly and comfortably. Conversely, if you only follow your feelings and preferences, the material uses a vivid phrase, thoughts as dust, emotions as dirt. This means our fleeting thoughts and emotional reactions are like dust and dirt that cover the real appearance of things. It's like driving while only looking at attractive people on the side of the road, ignoring traffic conditions, very dangerous. The result, of course, is running into obstacles and discomfort everywhere. This dust and dirt metaphor is really clever. It also reminds me that the material mentions another phenomenon worth self-reflecting on, that sometimes when things are about to succeed, like a plant about to bloom, one might impulsively pick the flower and play with it, then complain why there's no result. Have you ever accidentally picked your own flower? This is a typical example of relying on dust and dirt, not relying on the rules, which causes self-sabotage, being led by your thoughts and emotions, forgetting that things have their own laws. The material even mentions a worse situation. Sometimes people harm the root itself, called digging up the root. Even worse, they think this is care or love. Like some traditional views say, beating is caring, scolding is love. This reminds us whether in relationships, personal growth, or anything else, There are cultivation rules needed. Just like plants need sunlight, water, and soil, you can act completely based on feelings alone. So the key is really not just knowing, but practicing. The material keeps emphasizing practicing maintaining that awareness in all situations, reminding yourself to rely on the rules, not just follow impulses, and practicing maintaining a positive state, like it says, joyful heart, smiling face, gentle language. The ultimate goal is to reach the state of relying on the body-mind, meaning you can truly act according to the essence of what you have realized and according to the rules. The material also gives a very practical advice, which I think is great, that when you are not very sure about the rules, it's better not to act rashly. Stop, observe, listen first. And once you know the rules clearly, then fully act according to them. This way, you can truly get rid of the interference of dust and dirt and reach that ease and satisfaction. This indeed requires continuous practice, turning it into a natural response. Alright, let me briefly summarize what we talked about today. From the material you provided, many of the discomforts and disharmonies in our lives are probably because we don't really understand or follow the underlying rules behind things. Instead, we are often led astray by our feelings and thoughts, that is, following the dust and dirt, which unknowingly sabotages the good outcomes that might have been. Now, the material finally leaves us with a question that I think is worth you taking home and thinking deeply about. What is the question? Is there an area in your current life, whether at work, in relationships, learning, or health, where you actually understand in your heart the rules or principles that should be followed, but because of some momentary feeling or long-standing habit, you choose to ignore or even resist them? Could that ignored rule be exactly the key point, causing you some discomfort or blockage?